we got one on our hands, man. So, NBA player Patrick Patterson, who plays for the Clippers, the controversy where he posts a picture of him and his white wife, and of course, this fool he goes on to call black women. This is what he says in quotes. Somebody asks him, as a fan asks him, why is he with a white woman, and he says, "Why should I settle for a bulldog?" And then he says that he quotes Martin Luther King and says that he chose happiness that Dr. King fought for. This is like one of the worst ways you could quote Dr. King. This is one of the worst ways. He says, so I should settle for a bulldog and act like I'm happy in my life. And he preached, keep it in your race to the world as if Dr. King didn't fight and die for equality, acceptance, and all cultures loving one another and no hate. First of all, you're quoting Dr. King, but you're doing it in ways to try to excuse your way for. What's the excuse for calling a black woman a bulldog? You know what I'm saying? Like your mother isn't black, your sisters, your aunts, your grandmothers. He gives a lot of black dudes who date outside of their race a bad name because a lot of people think every time they see a brother with a white woman, oh, he's an Uncle Tom, he's a sellout. Some niggas are just attracted to any kind of woman that they find attractive out of all nationalities, and they still respect black women and love their sisters, their daughters, their mothers, their grandmothers. So he gives a lot of brothers who do marry and date out of their race a bad name. Me personally, I've slept with white women, but I've never dated one because of my trust issues, and I'm a historian. History tells you a white woman has been at the downfall of a lot of good men since slavery, all the way up to big events like Emmett Till, Rosewood, Black Wall Street, OJ, you know what I'm saying, historically. And I just can't trust that a white woman is going to hold me down the way a black woman would. That's just me. And I'm not trying to generalize the whole white woman race, but that's why I could never get down like that. But this dude, like I say, he's a product of his environment. And I'm not excusing him. But I will say, and my theory has always been with DC black athletes and why a lot of them settle for white women, you got to understand the backgrounds. Majority of people are a part of their environment. Your environment has a lot to do with your. You ever see a black kid who grew up in a white neighborhood? He's been around white culture his whole life, so he talks a little different. His music taste is a little different. He's different compared to a lot of black kids who grew up in black culture. He adapted and absorbed the culture that was around him. And it's similar to a lot of black athletes. Black athletes who are really good at what they do at a young age, they often get sent to prep schools and private academies in high school, and they're surrounded by white culture. So their first early sexual experiences are often with white girls. This kid, Patrick Patterson, he's not a kid, but he went to the University of Kentucky. All right, let me break this down. This is the actual demographics currently. He went there in 2010, but this has been their population demographics for a long time. He went to the University of Kentucky. 29,465 students attend the University of Kentucky. By race, 21,000 are white. Let me repeat that. 21,000 out of 29,000 are white kids. 2,000 are black, and about an 848 Asian population. So those are the demographics. And that's just, you see these big programs that are most popular, Duke, Kentucky, USC, Oregon, Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, Michigan. Majority of these big programs that people will die for, black and white alone, are majority white schools. They have a 60-70% majority white population, and you got these black kids who are the stars on campus, and most of their groupies, based off demographics, are white girls. So their early sexual encounters, high school, college, are with white girls. Now, you could take an example. Not all of them are a product of their environment. Some of them, like LeBron James, who never went to college, he's been with his woman, Savannah, black woman, since high school. Dwayne Wade's never really been known to date out of his race either. So it's not all of them that are like this. Another good example, All American, the show that comes on CW that was streamed on Netflix, really popular show based on a true story. Spencer James is a Crenshaw born and raised teenager, but because he's the best receiver in Southern California, he gets transferred across town to Beverly Hills. He's around white culture. He still doesn't get soaked into it because he still dates within his race, but he's around a different group of people that he's not comfortable with. And most of these black athletes are surrounded by white girls. So their early encounters are with white women, and they're already into them. So it's not like, oh, these brothers just as soon as they got pro and got money, they went for the white bitch. I used to think that too. Most of them have already been fucking with white bitches. You've seen it. They kind of talk about it on He Got Game. Ray Allen, he had his little Puerto Rican mommy, but when he went to that college and he y'all got that little that interview around the campus, he had a threesome with two white bitches with big titties. So I mean, this is like the lifestyle of a black athlete in America. White pussy has always been put on a pedestal for these niggas, and they fall in love with it. And then when they go pro, that's when it becomes out. You don't see their relationship status in college. You got a lot of stars, Jalen Hurts, a lot of them currently. You don't know what kind of women these niggas is dating, but I can guarantee you most of them are white. So, and I'm not playing devil's advocate for him calling black women bulldogs, but I will say most people are a product of their environment. And if you've been around majority white girls growing up in your puberty, sexual, early experience years, that's probably what you're gonna like. So he just, like I said, he gave a bad rap to a lot of brothers that choose to date out of their race because they just happen to have that connection with a woman who's outside of their race physically and emotionally, not because they trying to do something better for themselves on the social ladder, because black women on the hierarchy ranking have always been valued way less in society than white women systematically. That's how it's always been. So some of these brothers do date to get themselves up the social ladder, but you'll never know just by looking. You can't just automatically assume, oh, he's a sellout, he got a white bitch, you know what I mean? But he gives those dudes who date outside of their race, he gives people the notion to think that way. So this motherfucker's ignorant at the end of the day, and he plays for the Clippers. He's really not that fucking good. I'm gonna be honest, I don't follow basketball closely as much as football. I never heard of this nigga. And ironically, he plays for a black coach, Doc Rivers. He likes white bitches too. But yeah, black women don't, you got every right to be upset, but don't generalize all of these niggas who are doing this. Not everybody feels this way about black women, because like I said, there are a lot of good black dudes who date women out of their race, Asian, white, whatever, that still have love for their black women. But he definitely made it harder for those type of dudes with his comments on Instagram. And you got to be smart when you talk. He said this by talking to fans on Instagram. Maybe he thinks because he's not that popular, he could get away with that. But you got to be careful on what you say to people on these public social platforms. Like, you're a fucking idiot, And if I was his publicist, I would have cussed him out. Like, what are you doing, my nigga? But yeah, but tell me what y'all think, man. Patrick Patterson from the Clippers. Yeah, this nigga's a fucking clown.